Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Abu Dhabi for the second to last round, round 10 here at PSGL F3 with the first title deciding race of the season. My name is Felix, and I am once again joined by Jake. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. We're making being here on a Monday evening. It's a nice change, and yeah, it's I'm excited to see what tonight brings. Obviously, if you can see from the title, it is potentially a title finale tonight. But nevertheless, Abu Dhabi's not a track I can remember commentating around recently at all. So I'm excited to see what this recently newly configured 16 corner layout has in store for us.
Yeah, I actually gotta say I really like the changes they've made to the track, especially in the last sector. It's a lot more flowing. The little chicane that was very unnecessary reminded me very much of Spain in the last sector. That chicane in the first sector here has been removed, so it's just a hairpin. Where famously 2021, that was the corner where it basically decided the title in the end, with Max Verstappen overtaking Lewis Hamilton there, and it provides another overtaking opportunity, and also the newly revamped turn. Is it turn 6 now? I'm not too sure where the chicane has been removed. So
Yeah, turn sort of 8, 9-ish, I think. Yeah.
8, 9. All right. Yeah. Turn 9. Sorry, don't know why I thought turn 6. Yeah, I think they've made good changes to this track, and I think it provides a lot more chance of good racing. And the third sector has become really fun to drive, in my opinion, with especially the very fast second to last corner now, which is probably flat in qualifying if we've got the right entry and the right setup. And we can see Rick losing the rear end out of turn 9, and we've got the first spin of the day. Well, it is Denzo flying past him then in that third sector in his Red Bull. You can see the corners here in the third sector have been widened quite a lot, and they're a lot more smooth. It was a bit awkward previously with kind of 90-degree corners, third or fourth gear, and he invalidates in the last corner. So he won't be the first driver to set a lap time either. Black Box is going to be the one setting a lap time though, as he is the closest championship rival for Max still in this championship.
Yeah, he's the one who maybe can take the fight to him if Max has a really... I mean, he really needs a DNF here or no score tonight to really give Black Box a chance. So, but, anything can happen. This is Formula 1, and Max, about 4 races in, didn't look like he was in championship contention at all. So it just shows how quickly things can turn around, and you can never rule anything out until it's won.
Yeah, Rick is mathematically out of the championship, but mathematically Black Box and Johan are still in within a shot, as Johan is 31 points behind, and we've got Black Box 29 points behind. It is a big gap to Max, so we can see coming around the final corner now. Let's see if it's going to be provisional pole. It is by 3.5 tenths of a second. That's a big gap he has at the moment.
Yeah, already setting a firm benchmark down, and that's not what Black Box would want to see so early on in the session, but it goes in line with what we've seen recently. Max has been the standout driver on this grid, and he's just had the pace. Even last week, when he come under significant pressure for the race win, he still never really looked under pressure, and he never looked phased. So he's got the pace, and he's also got that mental capability to not crack under pressure as well. So, going forward, I'd love to see what he can do potentially in F2 next season, because you'd imagine logically that's where his next step will be.
Yeah, we have to talk about Black Box, I think, as well. Obviously had a lot of bad luck last week in Australia, where he was taken out into turn 3, which resulted in him being at the back of the grid and then in the end retiring from the race. Even though he tried to go on, he didn't get the safety car he needed and lost 16 points to his rival. And I think it's sure to say that only being 13 points behind would have looked a lot more realistic in terms of a title fight than being 29 points behind. And currently in this quali session also nearly 5 tenths behind his rival. It just looks like Max at the moment is unstoppable. He's on a brilliant run, and after not the best of starts to the season, it was solid, but it was not the best of starts. Since then, he's performed very well in the last 6 races. He's got 4 wins, 1 podium, and had 1 no scorer in Monaco. But he's been in a great shape within the recent weeks, and it's gonna take a miracle to stop him in this championship. And I think today is gonna be the day where he secures that championship.
Yeah, I mean, he's won the last 3 races, got 4 wins for the season in total. There's only 2 other multiple race winners in this tier this season. That's Black Box and Johan, the 2 that can mathematically stop him. Then you've got 4 drivers with a race win to a name apiece. So he really has dominated recently, especially. And yeah, he's been thoroughly deserving of his championship lead. And we'll see what happens, though. We'll see. You never know. Although early signs are he looks as unstoppable as ever. And interesting as well to see Mali currently up in P2, because he was the guy. Well, good timing. Mobarak now goes into P2. And actually, Mobarak was surprisingly handy last week in Australia. It was, I'd say, his best drive of the season, and he's carrying that confidence on into this week so far.
Every time I hear that word handy, I have to think about that press conference with Vettel and Hamilton, where Vettel said Hamilton was pretty handsome around the Canada track, as he wanted to say handy, but I get that confusion as a fellow German, as Mobarak was actually a bit up on that pole position time that Max set in the middle sector, as Alberto only manages to go P15. Let's see what Rick can do, as he's about to set his first lap of the evening, coming around the final corner, and then it's going to be P4. Solid start for him, still nearly 4/10 off our current pole sitter. Let's see what Ghost King can do as he comes across the line, and that is not a proper lap, he said.
No, a few drivers still haven't set competitive lap times. I'm just looking to see who's about to finish a lap. Is that Anryu? No, he's not on a lap. We have got Black Box on another attempt, coming up to the end of the second sector. There's a bit of traffic in front of him. Hopefully that won't interfere with his lap. He's nearly 2 tenths up, so if Black Box keeps this going, he's potentially, I'd say, looking at maybe sneaking onto the front row. You can gain and lose a lot of time in his final part of a lap. He's got a Ferrari in front of him that is going to put him off, and that's all a bit messy, to be honest. Hopefully that didn't put him off his lap too much. There's a lot of traffic towards the end of a lap. I don't know how much that has slowed him down, if at all. But across the line comes Black Box, and it's good enough for P4. Denzo actually popping it into P3. That's a nice lap from Denzo, a bit under the radar. But yeah, Black Box up to P4, but I wonder, did he maybe lose a temp or 2 in that final sector?
It's difficult to judge, but also it was very difficult for the Ferrari of, I think, Mobarak it was, to get out of the way in a proper manner in that third sector, because it's just very tight there. And he went off the track. He thought, all right, I have to go now, so I don't interrupt him on his lap. But he probably slightly affected him. Obviously, when there's a car ahead of you and such a technical part of the track, it's always going to distract you just a little bit, at least, as Johan goes 2/10 quicker than his previous best, which would put him well up inside the top 5, the second of our 3 championship contenders here, as he comes around the final sector then. And Johan, I gotta say, I've been really surprised to see him doing so well throughout this season, and he didn't have the best of starts with now he goes P4 in the meantime, with only 5 points out of the first 3 races, but then he started to pick up the pace a little bit, and went on to get 4 podiums in a row, actually, from Canada to Monaco, a win in Monaco actually, then in Britain he got a 2nd place once again, and in Portimao he took a podium in 3rd. And yeah, then he didn't score a point in Belgium and Spa, and also he only scored 4 points in Australia. But he had that middle part of the season where he really showed what he's made of, and he showed some really good pace. And I wonder if he can fight back a little bit in terms of pace and results now in these last 2 races, at least for a good rhythm to start into the next season.
Yeah, that's what it's about for a lot of these drivers, just trying to find some confidence and momentum going into next season. Some of them haven't had the seasons they wanted. Some of them have had, I'd say, patchy seasons where they've had good results and it just hasn't been consistent enough. But yeah, probably the one surprising name I'm seeing in the top sort of list at the moment is Denso. He has got 1 podium this season, but it was way back in round 4 at Canada, and I wouldn't say we've seen that sparkling pace from him often enough this season. So nice to see Denso in the top 3 at the moment, and still no one getting within 2/10 of Max. It's quite in these tight leagues that we're so used to seeing, like the field spread be so close. To have a 2/10 margin is pretty significant at this point of the session.
Yeah, we've only got 5 minutes and 45 seconds left now in this session, and it looks like no one is really able to get anywhere near to Max. Let's see where Hersey goes.
Keep an eye on Mobarak. He's just done a first sector that's nearly 2/10 better than his previous, and that's a very short part of the lap. So if Mobarak keeps this going, he could challenge that pole time for Max. See how his second sector's looking. He was nearly 2/10 up. He's kind of kept that margin going. So yeah, he's not a million miles away here from Max's pole position time if he can keep this going. So let's see what the Ferrari driver can do. He's fresh off a good result in Melbourne, and he looks like he's got his confidence up.
And that's what you need if you want to get a good result, especially against someone who is probably at the highest level of confidence you can have, as he goes too wide right on the entry into the final corner.
And that would have been a 22.6. Yeah,
it would have been enough, but it was the penultimate corner where he just went that little bit too wide, and that's what cost him the provisional pole he would have had. Let's see where Rick goes. Rick invalidates as well.
The same.
It looks like the drivers are struggling in the last sector in terms of track limits. I can understand that because the last 2 corners are, or the penultimate corner is high speed, and then obviously you want to maximize your run you are getting out of that final corner, and it's easy to just dip all 4 wheels above the white line, and suddenly your lap time is getting invalidated. Ghost King is on an improvement, and he goes up to P18. Not the best of quali sessions for Ghost King. He's been one that has been really inconsistent, I would say. He had some races where he was really strong in the race then itself. His race pace was really good, but he seemed to have been struggling with some incidents here and there and some quali results. It's been an up and down season for him, I would say.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned the incidents as well, because he was given a penalty, I believe, last week. I don't know if it's to serve on this round. I may have to double check that, but he was involved in the steward's office last week. And yeah, like you say, he's shown flashes of pace. He got a 4th place at Portugal, which is his best result of the season, but it's just there's too many nights where he seems like he's in the centre of like the chaos that happens, and it's not really where you need to be if you're going to produce consistent results. Sometimes not through his own faults, it's just sometimes you can be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But yeah, Ghost King will be looking for more consistency going forward next season, and he's one of those drivers who I think the saying he may need to go backwards to go forwards. Maybe a season dropping down a tier or 2 and getting more consistent good results could actually do him more good than maybe being in a higher tier and struggling again.
You gotta keep in mind that those guys are still very quick, even though if they're a bit further down in the championship standings, it by no means has to say that they are slow drivers, because you don't get into PSGL F3 without some really solid pace, and all of these guys have got some good pace, but you can see that some people, like for example Max, have just improved throughout the season even more and have picked up their pace even more and have become quicker than they were at the start of the season already.
Yeah, one driver to keep an eye on in these last 2 minutes is Kieran. He's down in P20. He hasn't yet done a competitive lap time. And we've certainly seen in recent weeks that he's been very, very quick up towards the sharp end of a grid. But yeah, this lap's going to be very crucial for him because as it stands right now, he's starting P20. And we have seen drivers recover from that kind of position before, but you really are putting yourself up against it if you're starting right from the back, especially when we've got a full grid like we have tonight, which, by the way, is pretty incredible and good to see at this stage of the season. I think there's only a couple of reserves as well.
Yeah, I gotta say that is really impressive, as Jabraka has invalidated this time, but he's going for one final run. Mali is out on a lap. Let's see where Max is. Max is already once again 300ths of a second quicker than his personal best so far in this session, as he comes down towards turn 6 through that chicane where you need the good exit. Slightly loses the rear end on the outside on that curve there, and he sticks to the inside to get the closest and the shortest run up all the way to turn 9, the long left-hander where the traction is not really easy to put down. As soon as you go on the throttle, it might be that your car just spins out and the rear end wants to go. But it seems like he's under a lot of control of his car right now as he invalidates right as I say that. And it looks like Mobarak is just about to start his final lap. Johan is out on a lap as well. Let's see his second sector split. He's down on his time, so is Black Box. Jabraka is slightly up on his time. Let's see what Mali can do as he comes around the final corner. Is he able to make any challenge to whoever is in front of him? Yes, he is, but not quite enough for pole position. Andrew has just started a lap, and so has Mobarak.
I think Andrew's just moved up to P3, so good effort from him as well, right at the death. What can Fedus Piga do across the line? He crashes, trying to get the power down. Too eager and does crashes there. Who else is on the lap? Mobarak is on another good first sector, so he's one to keep an eye on. Ryman goes up to P8. Who else is out there?
And Black Box is coming around the final corner. He was slightly up on his time. Is it going to be enough? No, it's not. 42 thousandths behind Max. Mali is already over the line, I think, or is he still going for it? I don't think he is.
Mobarak
no,
is a couple attempts up.
Oh wow, that is looking to be a great lap. But remember what happened just a couple of minutes ago. That penultimate corner can still catch you out. He now needs to find the balance in between pace and track limits. It's not always easy, especially if you know what's on the line. And on the line is pole position for the penultimate round of this season. He does go to right, but he spins around. And that is his qualifying over. It seems to be that second to last corner that always catches him out, and it's the second time. He was on his way to pole position and he spins out on this lap. He invalidated on the previous one. And I think you've seen the potential, but he can't put it all within a lap.
Yeah, Max did that lap early in qualifying and got stealed in pole position, but you just saw as the session went on, drivers getting closer and closer to that lap time, and Mobarak on potentially 2 occasions could and should have maybe beaten that lap time. The first time he invalidates at the last corner, the second time he spins at the penultimate corner. I'm excited to see what he does in the race because the pace is quite clearly there. But we've potentially got the front row we wanted. It's the main 2 in the championship, Max and Black Box, who make up the front row.
Yeah, it's a familiar face sitting in pole position. Mali in third, who has shown some good pace in this quality session as well. And Ryu with a great qualifying for him in P4. Then, like we said, Mobarak wasn't able to put his lap together. He is going to start in 5th ahead of Denzo. Johan only down in 7th. Rick in 8th. Raymond in 9th. And Jabraka rounds off the top 10. And I would really like to keep an eye on Mobarak because his pace looked rapid, at least in qualifying. but he just couldn't hold it together for one lap.
No, and that's going to be interesting to see how he copes with a race. He probably feels like he should be further higher up on the grid, but he's got opportunity to put that right. Obviously, Abu Dhabi, so clear skies up ahead, or at least dry skies. I can see a few clouds, I think, up ahead, but yeah, and one to keep an eye on from the back, I still maintain, will be Kieran, because he didn't do a lap in qualifying, but we've seen recently that he has got the pace to challenge right at the front, so keep an eye on him charging through the field, potentially.
With now only 10 seconds to go until the drivers have completely lined up on the grid and the lights are gonna come on, we might get a decision for our world champion of F3 as the lights are coming on as the sun sets in Abu Dhabi. And we are underway for the second to last round of the PSGL F3 season. It looks like Max has got the better start in between him and Black Box. He leads coming down into turn 1, goes slightly wide as we've got Molbrook trying to pass Mali already, and there's been contact and Mali has been sent round into the wall. We've got some more contact at the back. It looks like Kieran and his teammate Damiano have been involved, and also Zane is still spun round, and it looks like there's even more contact. Ghost King and Alberto have crashed. The speaker has been picked up by that. Andrew picks up a penalty for corner cutting. And we've got a safety car on lap 1. A lot of chaos there.
Well, wouldn't you have it? What a really messy start. Some drivers there potentially being a bit too aggressive at the start. A lot going on. A lot of broken front wings. A lot of spins. And not a start we really wanted to see. It was all calm at the front. The top two got away pretty evenly and maintained their positions, but it was all hell breaking loose behind. And really, Black Box must be thinking, that's just typical, isn't it? I have a completely stress-free, no problem start, I'm in P2, and then the safety car comes out. After he spent all last week praying for one and never got one.
Yeah, it looks like it never goes the way of Black Box this season so far. And a bad thing for Andrew is that he got a 5-second penalty that he is definitely going to serve throughout this race. And it looks like Black Box goes into the pits. Interesting. I think everyone started on hards. Yeah, everyone except from Azai. Yeah. And his teammate pits as well. Fruitful and Damiano also in the pits. One of they've got from wing damage.
No front wing change I can see for Black Box, but he goes onto a set of mediums. So maybe going for a different strategy.
Yeah, it looks like Hersey has to change front wing. Fruitful doesn't, Damiano doesn't. Black Box is back out the pits. There's Mali, he didn't change front wing either. But I would have loved to see a replay of what happened exactly in between Mali and Mobarak, because it's usually the other way around. The one car that taps the car head with its front tire at the rear tire of the car head usually is the one spinning around, but this time it was exactly the opposite. It was Mali being tapped and getting sent round by Mobarak, who then also braked to avoid his rival and dropped down to P8. So we've got once again Max in the lead, and he's probably going to be glad now that he hasn't got anyone right behind him that is in a championship fight with him. But I'm curious to see what Black Box is planning to do with that strategy.
Yeah, it's an unusual one. I think the one driver I thought may have come into the pits would have been Amryu, just to serve that 5-second penalty. Maybe he's planning to appeal it at the end, but of course he'll have to serve it when he comes into the pits anyway, so I don't think he'll be able to appeal it. So I thought he might have been one that potentially would have looked at an alternate strategy. Nevertheless, he currently sits in P3. Denzo is the unlikely name sitting behind Max for the lead at the moment. We'll see if anyone else comes into the pits, but I can't imagine that anyone will. No, Black Box rejoined in P14. He's got a lot of cars in front of him, and based on what we saw at the start, potentially a lot of chaos is going to unfold. So, and once again, we mentioned this in qualifying for Ghost King, that flashes of pace, but a lot of crashes he seems to be involved in, well, his evening didn't last all too long at all tonight, and it's a familiar story for him, I'm afraid.
Yeah, like we mentioned, an up and down season for Ghost King. Has not been able to get on the podium so far. He's got one last chance next week when we head to Kota. But it's not going to be tonight here in Abu Dhabi. As Black Box, like you mentioned, he's got 13 cars ahead of him now, and he's on the quicker tyres, so he is going to be quicker. But it's a big task. It's a very big task to pass everyone there ahead and to catch that time back up that he lost due to that pit stop he made.
I suppose now you've got that additional set of mediums for the race, it does give you a bit of more options with strategy, and that may be what he's thinking. With that strategy that he's gone with, safety car in this lap, Denzo and Rick both up 4 places at the start, and Kieran making massive headway. He's all the way up from 20th to 11th, so obviously a lot went on ahead of him, which helped him out on that one, but nevertheless he's made some good ground, and he could be one to watch out for on the restart.
Yeah, let's see when will Max accelerate. It looked like in the previous races where there was a safety car, he was very controlled at the restarts and usually wouldn't lose a position to second place. This time he's got a different driver right behind him. Denzel doesn't leave much room in between the two of them, and it looks like Max has gone now. It's a solid restart. He's already pulled half a second out on that one single straight, and it looks like at the back it has all gone clean. Or has it? As Black Box is already trying to pass Zane here as he goes wide. Hopefully he rejoins safely. Oh, there's been contact! Once again it is Kieran who's round and into the wall, and once again it is his teammate as well. And we've got Ferrari on Azai, and there goes Black Box down the inside of Zane. Once again chaos at the restart this time, and it has once again been some contact in between the two teammates.
Yeah, it looks like a hefty shunt into the wall for Kieran. And ASY also getting involved in a separate incident, it looks like. Kieran's got death front wing damage, so he will have to pit. And they're both still battling away at the back. But Bladbox already up to P10 with all that was going on in front of him.
Yeah, it looks like Jabrak has to defend himself from Oberak, who we saw had the pace in qualifying. And it probably would have kept him out of trouble on that opening lap if he would have been able to set one of those two very good lap times he had prepared until the second to last corner. 10:15 seems to be his kryptonite tonight. And Denzo puts in the fastest lap of the race, and he didn't let go of Max so far. As
he's run very wide at turn 1 though.
As Black Box is already close to Fedis Piga now. Looks like his mediums are working really well at the moment. Probably has had the easier task to warm the mediums up rather than the hards. And there he goes down the inside once again into turn 5, and he picks up the second driver within the second lap after the restart.
Yeah, Bladbox making up some really good ground on those mediums, and if I was Fedis Piga, I would have potentially fight him back, and no, he isn't. He had the opportunity with a slipstream to have a go back at the McLaren driver, but the sensible thing to do is potentially try and stick on the back of the McLaren as he spreads his way through the field, and he'll see if he can do that. Denzo doing a good job at the front, keeping Max honest at the moment, and there's no real difference in the battery usage. So we're not seeing what Max sort of did last week, where he saved his battery compared to those who was fighting behind him. And yeah, the field's still very closely grouped as we've got Kryptonite having a spin into the wall. And thank God he was ghosted when those cars came past. But yeah, you mentioned someone's Kryptonite earlier, and I was just going to say Kryptonite's had a very quiet evening so far, and it really hasn't gone his way so far.
Yeah, generally towards the end of the season he didn't look like the most confident driver after he showed some good pace in the first half, but made too many mistakes which cost him dearly in terms of points. As Mobrock is getting closer and closer to that rear end of the Aston Martin.
And he'll want to he'll want to get a move on with that as well, Mobrat, because look who's right behind him, Black Box. So this could become a very interesting three-way fight here.
Yes, Mobrock now probably will get his first chance at moving up to P7. He has a little look on the inside. Maybe it makes Jabraka nervous, and yes, he does. Jabraka goes very wide indeed, and now there's the chance for the switchback for Mobrock as he gets the better exit out of turn 7 through turn 8 here. And he's got the move done even before the braking zone. Very smart move there from Mobrock to just move to the inside. That Jabraka thinks he has to give room on the inside, but he doesn't, and that is what gives Mobrock P7 right now.
Oh, and Bloodbox very nearly stuck his nose up the inside of Jabraka, but thought better of it because it was a gap that was quickly going to close. The superior traction and confidence that Bloodbox has on his mediums makes nearly every corner an overtaking spot for him. And Jabraka already been outdone by one driver. He could be about to be overtaken by Bloodbox, who's got the outside line going into turn 1, and Jabraka doesn't even fight that one.
Understandably, because just look at the way Black Box is cutting through the field right now. That's the third car he overtook within a matter of 3 laps now. Get restart for the McLaren drivers so far as Damiano picks up P10 against Spiegel. It looks like turn 9 is a very popular overtaking spot as Mobrock is trying to defend. He's trying desperately to defend. He goes very far to the inside, and there goes Black Box around the outside, says thank you very much, and that looked like a very clean and easy move in the braking zone, even though I thought Mobrock would put on a bit more of a fight than that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Black Box can do when he gets up to the front runners, because he's quite clearly got so much more confidence on those medium tyres. He's just cutting his way through the field, and the question is, can he get back on pace with Max?
Oh, there's a bit of spin. It's Yoan who goes round, coming into the hotel section. Don't exactly know what happens, but it really looked like a spin from a contact. Maybe he outbraked himself. Not too sure. I would love to have the team radio there to know what happened. But he's round and well outside the points, and that's technically now 4 positions gained within 3 laps for Black Box. Technically it's 8 because he started in 14 once the safety car came in.
We might have another safety car because Kryptonite's crashed.
There it is. Question now is that good for Black Box or is that not good for Black Box?
I'm almost going to argue it's not good for him, really. I don't know. I feel like he was making good ground. He could have gained a few more places, and now he's kind of stuck for the next few laps. We shall see, though, if any drivers opt to come into the pits. Kryptonite, by the looks of it, he lost it around turn 15, the penultimate corner, and potentially went backwards into the wall, if I had to guess. A real sad end to his evening. And brings out the second safety car of the race, which I'm sure Black Box will see the irony of after last week.
He'll get all the safety cars he does need and did need last week tonight here. But, you know, his tyre advantage is going to come to a hold for a couple of laps now, but that means he can use that medium stint for a bit more than he would have. Maybe that makes the tyre wear situation a bit easier. But also, I want to see if Max maybe now pits, and he does. So does Denzo and Andrew and Rick and Raymond. Black Box pits as well.
Mobrak stays out. I think take the lead.
I think Black Box is going to go on hard and go to the end.
Yep.
He is. Alright. He adapted to the safety car and decided to change his game plan for tonight. Mali, Federsbig and Morbrook stay out as the only drivers.
Now, I can't imagine those medium tyres will go to the end from here, obviously that the rest of the drivers have pitted. So, after spending all race last week praying for a safety car, I think Black Box is now going to spend the rest of this race praying that we don't have any more safety cars, because if he can get them hard to go to the end and there is no safety cars, he's in a really good position here.
And the question is, how much time will he lose against Max now while he's on the slower compound? Because Max
reversed him earlier.
Yeah, Max will probably have even the opportunity to pit onto softs maybe towards the end, because that safety car is going to be out for another 1 or 2 laps, and that means he might be able to go into the pits towards the end to fit a fresh set of soft tires, while Black Box is still going to be stuck out with his hard tires. Interesting strategic situation we've got right here.
What Black Box will like is that there are 3 cars in front of Max that haven't pitted. Now, I can't imagine they'll be the most difficult of overtakes, but there's still 3 potential stumbling blocks for Max. The last thing Black Box would want is for Max to have a clear track in front of him.
And he probably needs those 3 cars as well to survive those first 2 laps after the safety car restart, to then have the DRS to get kind of dragged along with the medium runners. Because if he immediately loses that 1 second window to the cars ahead, he's going to have a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. He's we know Black Box is a quick driver, but we saw the advantage he had on the mediums, and how much is that going to now affect him now that he's on the opposite strategy. We shall see. This safety car has really made this race quite interesting, because you've got quite a few different strategies going on, and they're all in different parts of the order, and it's going to lead to some interesting fights, and dare I say it, potentially more safety cars, which is not what Black Box would want to hear. But we've already seen 3 retirements, and I think we're going to see a few drivers potentially maybe get caught out with just how much more grip they have compared to some of the drivers they're fighting.
At the moment, I'm not sure who's got the advantage at the moment. Obviously, Black Box doesn't have to pit. Max has got the track position and the fresher tyres and quicker tyres in both of his remaining stints now. So it's going to be tough for both of them, but I think it's going to be close towards the end.
I mean, I say that Black Box wouldn't want another safety car. He wouldn't mind another safety car in the next 5 or 6 laps. That wouldn't really affect him. In fact, it would help him keep closer order. It's when you get to like lap 20 onwards, that's when he's not going to want a safety car. So that's really going to play a huge part, I think, in this race as to whether we get another safety car. But Max is in an odd position. He's so used to being able to just dictate the pace under safety car conditions, and now he's got to watch as Mobarak has those responsibilities. And when will he go, and how successful will his restart be?
Mobarak now can control the pace, and he is gone already out of turn 14 through his problematic corner, turn 50.
Spun before we've even got back going.
Oh, and look at the gap now between Johan and Andrew. That's not what Johan would have wanted. And look at the gap in between Black Box and Jabraka as well. Very spread out restart for the drivers, but it looks like there has been a bit less chaos than there was before.
Yeah, we've got Max already on the back of Mali. He's going down the inside. Mali gives in the room. That could have been very risky for Max indeed. And now we're on a drag race all the way down to turns 5 and 6. And Max is having to fight hard for this. Mali's not giving him an inch. Is Max going to dive up the inside? He's going to have to go on the outside. And Mali's trying to make a move himself, which is causing further problems for our championship leader. And this is not what Max needs right now.
It's absolutely not what he needs. He gets the inside line though. for turn 9, or does he? No, not quite. Mali is trying to defend the inside line desperately, and I think that was the smartest move that Mali could have done, to go down the inside of Federspiga, and he pushes Max out wide, but Max sticks to the outside. He gets given the room on the inside now into the hotel section. Now it's going to turn into the outside for that double left-hander, and it should be Mali's position. And that is horrible for Max, and he's used so much of his battery, which he was so good with in the previous races. His battery management was excellent, and now he's going to be struggling with it because half of his battery is empty, and he still needs it because he's still not past that Mercedes of Mali.
This is not what he needed, but Mali, to be fair to him, defended absolutely expertly. There was nothing wrong with anything he did. And Max is going to have to try and find a way through and not present an opportunity to Denzo or Rick behind him, who are right there with him, if he gets his overtake wrong.
And once again, he can't make the move stick just yet, but he is closer now on this lap than he was on the previous lap. But maybe, just maybe, yeah, Mali's using his overtake as well. He's desperately trying to hold Max behind. I don't know exactly what for, probably because they've got the same amount of pit stops left. And once again, Max is just not able to get past Mali. He even slightly touches the rear end of that Mercedes, and now I think he's a bit too far away to make a move. Look at the battery charge that Max has. It's almost empty, and it is empty for Mali. And it's gone exactly the opposite way of what Max would have wanted at this restart. And Black Box is going to be sitting behind. He's got to be watching that battle and thinking, this is great.
That's exactly what he needs. Max cannot... And when he does get in front, he'll drain so much of his battery, he won't be able to optimise his pace. So really, this is ideal for Black Box, what he's seeing right now. And you see in the train it's creating. Jabraka's closed right back up. Max now needs to get this overtake done. There was a bit of concertina effect down at the chicane on the last lap. Denzo and Rick also had a bit of contact. And I wonder if we're going to see the same again this lap, because Mali's all too happy to park his Mercedes right on the apex and not give Max an opportunity.
Yeah, well, Mali's doing a great job. He gives him the outside line. Jabraka spun through turn 3, and once again it's not going to be enough for Max, but now he's getting the better exit, and it looks like he's got some more ERS than Mali has, and Mali has to give up on that position with only 1% of ERS left. But he's now slightly coming back. He's around the outside now into the chicane, and he's got the outside line. Is he going to make the move once again? Yes, he is. But there goes Max with the switchback then. Through turn 8 they go, and it's the inside once again for Mali. It's the outside for Max, and he gets the move done. Is he able to defend into turn 9 now? Or is Mali going to be able to make a move back at him? No, he is not. It looks like Denzo has used that, and Denzo says, thank you very much for making my overtake on Mali very easy. And Rick is having a little look as well, but it's not going to work around the outside here.
Mobarak will be absolutely loving life out front. He's got a second margin to Federspiga, and he's not using any of his battery. This is literally perfect for him right now. And you've got Mali making life exceedingly difficult for those on newer tyres that are coming up behind him. And I have to say, Denzo played that pretty perfectly. Lovely move around the outside of Mali, while those two were too busy focusing on each other. And Denzo gets past Mali, but had to use a lot less effort to do it than Max did.
And Max is trying, and he's probably praying inside his car that Federspiga is going to be an easier target than what Mali was, and it looks like he is. He's got the inside line, he's got the DRS, and now he's already passed him even before half of the straight has been done. Rick is also past Mali now. The next one to overtake him is going to be our championship, second place championship man, Black Box, on his hard compound. But he probably will have a bit of an advantage. Yes, look at the battery charge he's got. And you can see Mali's red light at the rear wing is popping up. That means he's not got any battery left, and Black Box now on the outside should have the fresher tires and should have the move done on lap 14. And he spins around, and it looks like Mali has just understeered into the side of Black Box. I didn't see anything wrong with that move from Black Box there, but it is unfortunate for Mali because he put up such a great fight, but he just completely dropped down the field since then, and now he's even spun around and he's down in P14. But I didn't see a wrong move from Black Box there, if I'm honest.
No, I was on board in Mali, and like you say, just a bit of understeer of his old tyres struggling to grip up the way he would have wanted. Black Box gave in the room, but, you know, and I don't think Mali meant to make contact with him either. It was just a case of old tyres, and he just didn't have the grip that he wanted. And unfortunate, really, because Mali was providing us with a lot of entertainment there, but we might still have some yet to come, because Max has got to try and get past Mobarak, who has been saving his battery. Although I don't suspect Mobarak's going to fight this too hard, although he has made a defensive move. So here we go, into the chicane they go. Is Mobarak going to defend this? Yes, he is. Fair play to him, and now Max has got the inside line for the next corner, and I don't think this is what Max wants.
Oh, he lost the DRS as well. Oh. That was perfect from Mobarak, and now he might even come under pressure from Denzo behind, because he's trying to pass for the speaker around the outside through turn 9 now, and he seems like he's got the better run through here, but he's behind. But fair play to Federico, who gives him the room on the outside and doesn't really defend it all too much then, because he knows he's on the slower compound, and he lets him go more or less, and now he's got Rick right behind him. And yeah, that was perfectly played from Mobarak. He didn't need to use all too much of his battery charge there, because he just got the DRS out of that chicane, and it looks like the speaker is going into the pits now as well. Black Box is going to say thank you very much to that, and he's going to be loving life at the moment. He sees Max is struggling to make moves. He's comfortably in P5. He can go to the end of this race as Truthful retires in the pit lane. So does Mali. And,
yeah, losing a future.
There goes Max down the inside, has a little look, a bit of a lag from my side here, but it looks like that move is done. No, it's not. Mobarak is still ahead, and look at Denzo
watch out
now.
For Denzo.
He's looking on the inside. He's probably trying to make Max a little bit nervous, but good luck with that. Max has been so calm throughout the entirety of the season. This is the first time I see Max struggling in some kind of way throughout this season.
Yeah, and he's desperate. He's using what battery charge he has left to try and get past Mobarak, but it's not enough, and he must be seeing Black Box there and thinking, this is not what I need, because essentially he's losing out. And of course Mobarak will be going on to a similar strategy as Max by pitting near the end, and if Mobarak stays in front, this plays perfectly into his hands. So he's well within his rights to fight, because this is doing his race a world of good as well.
Yeah, and it looks like he's nowhere near as low with the battery. He pits now, and Max is gonna thank God for that. But he's now got Denzo behind him. He's not got any battery charge left whatsoever to fight with. He's just got a bit more than 10%. But Denzo hasn't got much more. But Denzo will have the DRS on both of those upcoming straights now. And it's not going to be easy for Max to defend against that.
We're getting to that stage as well where the mediums won't be that much better than the hards if you've had them on a similar length of time, and Black Box has just been sitting here in this group of cars conserving his battery charge, and he's not lost out too much time. And keep an eye as well on Rick, who is getting very close to the back of Denzo for P2, but can't make a move sticking to the chicane. It's really interesting the way this race is shaping up, and you know, Max is probably going to be champion at the end of this race, but he wants to do it in style. There's no doubt about it. He'll want to get another race win, and right now I'd say he's not the favourite to win this race as it stands right now.
I feel like the first time this season Max is really feeling the pressure. Look at the way he's using his ERS. I've never seen that from him, that he's really blasting all his ERS that he's got. He's nearly down to 0%, and even on that little second DRS straight where he had the gap, he used that ERS because he's desperately trying to get his rival Denzo behind him out of that DRS window, but he's just not able to. And Blythe at P4 right now, at the moment as it stands, he's made a perfect strategy call, because once Max pits, he'll need to catch up a gap of nearly 20 seconds as Raymond goes way wide into turn 1. And now Denzo has lost that DRS window, and that's going to be crucial. Or has he? Detection point is here, and it looks like it was just above 1 second. Yes, it was.
Max is still using his battery, interestingly, even with Denzo losing a DRS. And now Rick, surely inside line into turn 5, which will then become turn 6. Denso can't fight back, and that was crucial. Denso became defenseless when he lost the DRS. Will he be able to fight back down the next straight? I want to say not, because just purely because he doesn't have the battery usage to fight back with, and he doesn't. So Rick takes P2, and now he'll try and see if he can get within the DRS range of Rick. No! Rick loses it coming out of turn 9, and loses all the hard work he did, has just gone out of a window with that huge moment of oversteer, but nice save, because it could have been so much worse.
And I think Black Box mood has changed drastically within that lap, but now Max goes into the pit lane and goes for his final pit stop, and now he sees Black Box flying past him on the other side of that pit wall. And he's going to think, I need to catch all that time back up that I now lost to win this race.
Well, I tell you what, I wonder if Max is thinking about Mobarak. I wonder if Max is thinking, I need to come out of pits now to try and stay in front of a Ferrari driver. But based on that lap that Mobarak just did, that is going to be very tricky to do. Let's see, has Max rejoined? No, he's
way behind. Way
comfortably behind. And he's got to get those tyres firing as well. So, wow, that's...
And he's got less ERS, even coming out of the pits.
Yeah.
Mobarak is really managed his ERS quite well. He's with more than 40% of battery charge, while Max doesn't even have 30.
Watch out for Black Box as Rick took the lead back from Denso. Black Box now sees this as his opportunity to strike. Are we going to go 3 wide potentially? No, we're not, but Black Box takes second place, and now he senses this is his chance to try and grab the initiative for this race win. This is switching this way and back. If there's no more safety cars and Black Box takes the lead soon, he's still in a pretty good position, you'd have to say.
I'll tell you what. By the way, look at Damiano. He doesn't have to pit either. So Damiano's effectively in P2 right now. And he can go to the end of this race.
Yep, he's just got his teammate in front of him, Kieran, making a stop. And I tell you what, that's a smart move back from Kieran, because firstly it releases his teammate who's on a better strategy, but also he was behind a huge group of cars stretching all the way to the race lead. And we've just seen with Mobarak what effect that undercut has. So Kieran could make a jump on a few drivers here.
Kieran comes out a couple of seconds behind Federspiga, who's already lost the position to Max now. And Black Box is getting closer and closer, and he's going to take the lead on lap 20 of this race with a big gap to his closest rival. That is going to be Damiano, who is 3 seconds behind him. He's at the end of this train, while he has Mobarak 13 seconds behind and Max 15 seconds behind. So it's going to be difficult for Mobarak or Max to catch up all that gap. But the question is, how well will those hard tyres perform towards the end of the race as well?
Yeah, this is going to be the interesting thing. Is the gap going to be too much for those guys to peg back? Because if they get close to Black Box, you have to imagine he will be pretty much a sitting duck at the end of a race. It's all about trying to keep that gap. Is anyone else pitting? No one else in that group pits. So you're looking at Kieran and thinking he could leapfrog all these guys, maybe up to Rick, while they stay out. And are some of these guys that have stayed out thinking about switching to the softs at the end, I wonder?
It's an interesting situation, because those guys like Rick and Johan and Denso and Raymond and Andrew, they are still staying out. Are they willing to go on the soft tire towards the end? Because Hersey has just pitted onto softs.
Yeah, making a very early call indeed. It's the thing is the time you're going to lose now staying out on the mediums, you're going to be able to make that back on the softs as well. It's such a tricky one. I can't help feeling Kieran's made a decent call here from where he was. And obviously none of the drivers have felt like reacting. But you're right about Damiano. He's going to be effective P2 once everyone else pits. And he will be the first one that Mobarak will come up to. Just keep an eye on Max's pace. He is gaining slightly on Mobarak. He has got, of course, got 2 lap pressure tyres. We'll see what difference that makes come the end of a race. But
and both Mobrag and Max both have gained 2 seconds on this lap alone on Black Box.
Still no pitters among the main group of cars. So they continue. Jabraka pits. He was at the sort of back of the train. No, he wasn't really involved in it. That will move Mobrak up another position, and now we'll see the gap between Damiano and Mobrak because there are no cars between them. 7.5 seconds. With only 8 laps to go, it's going to be interesting to see how this one unfolds. I still think Black Box is in the box seat, but behind that, I couldn't really make a call between Mobrak, Max, and Damiano.
Black Box is charging his battery though. He's up to 60% now, while Max is down to 14. Mobrak has 50%. So Max is using his ERS, and the closest actual rival, once everyone is pitted, Damiano, is at 11%. So Black Box is already thinking about the long game, which I completely understand at the moment, because he needs that battery charge to then fight in those last couple of laps in case he needs it. Because Mobrak's pace is great at the moment.
Yeah, but Max's pace behind Mobrak is even better. Gap now down to 1.4 seconds between the pair of them. So they could be very much fighting very shortly. And Rick pits. No one else follows him, but I mean, that was an early stop, I think, from Hersey for softs. But I imagine this is where Rick's going to start going for softs as well. So, you know, from now onwards, you're probably going to see drivers start to pit for soft tyres when Rick has called it the earliest. And it's a brave call from Rick because, of course, all those with not too long memories will remember, of course, he made an early gamble on softs in Spa, and that ended in tragedy with a last lap puncture, so he won't want a repeat of that.
In case anyone is wondering, as it stands, I think Max would be champion with 17 points up for grabs. He would lose 12 at the moment. That will bring the... Oh, no, it would be exactly... Oh, he would.
Yeah.
He would.
Yeah.
Because of the race wins. Oh, no, he wouldn't, actually. He wouldn't.
No,
sorry.
He wouldn't, yeah.
Yeah, because then they are on 3 and 4 wins, and then in theory, Black Box would have 4 wins if he would win in Kota and get the fastest lap. So as it stands at the moment, Max would not be champion, but the gap would be exactly 17 points.
And Max is probably going to move higher up, you'd imagine. You can't help feeling that some of these guys that are staying out in this leading group are hoping for a safety car right about now, because that would minimise the time loss if they could pit under the safety car.
Or they're all trying to have Black Box, who knows? Maybe he's very popular amongst the drivers group, and all of them are willing to hold up Max behind, because Max and Mobrak are both gaining, and they're both now at the end of this train within the next 1 or 2 laps, and the gap has come down to 7 seconds in between Mobrak and Black Box with the remaining 6 laps. Ooh. It's going to be a task for Black Box, not going to lie. Didn't think it would get this close towards the end now.
No, I know what you mean. It definitely has got closer. And I tell you what, the point I made earlier about Kieran pitting before these guys and making a jump on them, it kind of demonstrates it perfectly. Kieran was at the back of the train, Rick was at the front. Kieran's a couple of seconds in front of Rick now after making the stop. So, yeah, Kieran made a good shout there. Obviously, Rick's now going to be on the quicker tyre, but Kieran has the track position right now. So we'll see. I mean, I was going to mention that obviously Denzo in second is TF as well as Black Box, but so is Max. So that won't make any difference for that regard. Denzo stays out, Ryman stays out, Johan pits. So we have lost another one from the train, and Hersey's crashed.
Oh, is he going to be the Latifi of tonight? He is, and there's the safety car coming out, and that is the worst possible thing that could have happened to Black Box. He's not got the gap to pit, but he is going to have his rivals right behind him. as soon as all those guys who are right behind the pit now, his only chance is go on softs now and go for it. And Johan has made the worst possible call with that pit stop on his lap.
Well, I actually think Johan has made a fantastic call because he was.
Oh, you're right.
Now...
Oh, you're right. He's gonna just be able to. Oh, yeah. You're right. Sorry.
And I tell you what, Max has got big problems at this safety car restart because he's got Johan and Anryu right behind him on fresh soft tyres. So Max is under all kinds of pressure here, and Johan and Anryu pitted at the perfect time. They didn't know that Hersey was about to crash, or at least I hope not. We don't want Alonso Singapore vibes from all those years ago, but or PK even. But yeah, we have a safety car 5 laps from the end, and yeah, for Johan and Anryu, that worked out pretty perfectly.
I actually think Max and Mobrock have to pit as well. I think they will drown if they stay out on the mediums. Because everyone's going to go on softs now. I hope so, at least. Yes, Black Box pits goes on to the softs. And let's see what does Mobrock do. Mobrock stays out.
Mobrock stays out, but Max thought
stays
about
out
it
as well. Okay,
Max thought about it. He moved for the pits, but he decided not to.
And that is Black Box chance. If he comes out now ahead of Johan, that will be the most crucial thing of all now. And I think he is. He's going to be out ahead of Johan. Easily.
Here we go. Yeah, so Black Box. This is going to be very interesting. Mobrak and Max staying out on the medium tyres. Black Box is now in 3rd. Denzo 4th. Ryman 5th. Johan 6th. I tell you who is the big loser here. You look at Rick and Kieran. They're now down in 11th and 12th, and they called it too early. The safety car has really ruined their strategy, but now we've got Mobrak and Max at the front on mediums. Black Box with everything to gain. He's going to be battling like crazy. This is going to be a real test for Max. I feel like tonight has really put him through her paces, both in attack and defence. And this is going to be a very interesting finale to this race.
I believe that Max is not going to have a nice time now in these remaining. I think it's going to be 2 laps left. Once the safety car comes in, it should come in on lap 27, and then we've got lap 28 and 29 to go. Because Zane is way too far behind at the moment. And Max, remember, that's not a fresh set of mediums. Not for Max and neither for Mobrak. So
even more so for Mobrak.
Yeah, 7 and 9 laps old. Those tyres are quite far away from their peak performance. And then you've got Black Box, Stenzo, Raymond, Johan, Damiano, and Anryu. All those guys from P2, from P3 to P8. All those guys have got fresh softs that are a maximum of 1 race lap old.
And am I right in saying this could be the one crumb of comfort for Max is that we won't have any DRS for
well,
with the amount of laps left.
Yeah, it could be. You know, you saw earlier on with Black Box, who was on the mediums compared to everyone else on the hards, and you already said there that he has just so much more grip and so much more pace that it looks that he basically makes every single corner an overtaking opportunity. And I think that track change in layout in the last sector might cost Max as well, because you can go side by side there. We saw that earlier on. Turn 9 is a nicer overtaking opportunity, and it opens up the chance for an outside overtake as well.
Now let's keep an eye on this safety car restart. I don't understand why Jabraka and Zane are on medium tyres unless they've run out of softs. They're further down, of course, but let's keep an eye on this safety car restart because Mobarak led them away on the last safety car. Went very early. Will he try something similar here? I feel like he might have to, just to see if he can try and catch the guys out. And if he can get away from Max and leave him at the prey of everyone else, he still has half a chance of maybe dragging that Ferrari to a win. So this safety car restart really is going to be absolutely key for Mobrak in particular.
It's going to be interesting now. Mobrak controls the pace on his very old 9-lap-old medium tyres out of Max, who's on 7-lap-old mediums, and then we've got Black Box as the first driver on fresh softs. He knows he's got pace, he knows he's got the tyre advantage. It's just a case of executing the moves in the right place and the right way. And Mobrak has gone. Mobrak has gone now, and it looks like Raymond has slept on this safety car restart a little bit. Max has not lost too much time to Mobrak, so looks like Max has a bit more skill with those safety car restarts. And look at how much Black Box is gaining already. He was 5/10ths behind when Mobrak went on the throttle, and now he's 2/10ths behind. And he's got 2 laps left to do this, and I think he might get past. He can basically pass everywhere, especially turn 9 could be a great opportunity to move around the outside. He's using his overtake button. He's willing to get past now already, but Max is also using his ERS, and he's trying to have a little look on the outside of Mobrak as he dives into the chicane of turn 6, and he's got the outside line. It's now going to turn into the inside line. That compromises his exit, and there goes Black Box around the outside of his championship rival Max as he's now alongside him, and he's got the outside for turn 9. He's hoping for Mobrak to defend the inside line, but he doesn't do so. But he's still got the outside line through turn 9, and it looks like Mobrak has cost him that P2 at the moment, but they're still side by side, and Max has kept that position because Mobrak got in the way of Black Box. And I don't know if that was maybe a bit of tactic, because Mobrak knows once Black Box is past Max, it's his time over as well.
Yeah, this is incredible stuff, and fair play to Max for keeping hold of that P2 under the utmost pressure, and Mobrak doing everything he can to keep hold of his lead. But you sense that something's going to happen. We're on to the final lap, and you can literally see the top 10, 11 cars all just following in a train. Something has got to give.
And Black Box, he wants that race win. He wants that first place, and he knows he's got the chance for it. But Mobrak, and now he's going down the inside into turn 5 on his championship rival Max, and he's got the move done as they come out of turn 5, and now it's only one car in between him and that race win here in round 10 of PSGL F3 in Abu Dhabi. And it looks like Max has got some better straight line speed because he's still really close to the rear end here, and he's having a little look on the outside, but the gap gets closed by Mobrak, and there's probably one final chance for Black Box to take this race win here tonight as they come through turn 8. He's barely got any ERS left, and it looks like his straight line speed is just not enough. He needs to cover off the inside, otherwise Max has got to have a little look. He's having a little look through turn 9, and that was the place where Max re-got his pace. No! And he spins around, and he gets saved by the side of Max's Williams, and it looks like he's now all the way down in P5, maybe even P6, as Damiano dives down the inside as well. It looks like Mobrak is going to come home to win this race, and Max is going to win the championship here tonight with a secured P2, as there goes Mobrak around the final corner. He held him off, and he wins in Abu Dhabi ahead of Max, who takes the championship with him. And he managed to hold off his main championship rival as well. Denzo comes home in 3rd, Johan in 4th, and Black Box is going to be the most disappointed driver on this entire grid. Not only is his championship over, but also he lost that race win that looked so secure with 2 laps to go.
Wow, I didn't see that one coming at all. Mobrak and Max fending off those hard-charging soft-tyre runners. And, like you say, Black Box just lost the traction on the exit of turns 9 and 10, it looked like. And, yeah, just he did well to hold it together from spinning completely, but that will be little comfort to him because he will have wanted to prove a point to Max tonight. And I think Max, although he's finished P2, has scored a very big mental victory tonight with that one, and what a way to seal the championship for Max. An incredible season. It's the first time actually he's on the podium and it isn't a race win, so a different one for him, but congratulations, he's the champion and thoroughly deserved.
I mean, that was quite a hectic end to this race in Abu Dhabi. The championship is sealed. Max takes it by beating his championship rival Black Box once more. But I gotta say, first of all, smart stuff from Oberak, because I think that was intentional, that he wasn't going through turn 9 on the penultimate lap so quickly, because he knew he was going to compromise Black Box run through turn 9, and that's what kept Max ahead. And I think if Black Box would have been P2 by the start of the final lap, he would have won that race. But that was smart from Oberak. But I gotta say, I feel for Black Box, because that has not much to do with Formula 1 car physics, what happened there on that final lap. I mean, you've got a fresh set of softs, you're on the outside, and the way that car spun is just, yeah, I think that was just a Codemaster's way of sending the car around for no reason.
It kind of just sums up Black Box's look at times this season. He really hasn't had the rubber to green. Last week he was just taken out by someone who completely misjudged their braking spot. And was almost it's one of those 1 in 100 type incidents, and same again tonight. You just sometimes you look back on a season and think it just wasn't meant to be, and for Black Box it definitely feels like he hasn't had to fight just Max, he's had to fight his bad luck at times as well.
Well, that was a hectic end to this race. We've had 3 safety cars in comparison to Melbourne, where Black Box would have needed it. We had 0, and today, where Black Box wouldn't have wanted a single one, he got 3. And like you said, that just sums up his season pretty well. And that also, no disrespect to Max, I don't want to take anything away from him. Max was absolutely brilliant this season, and he is a well-deserved champion. But I gotta say, he wasn't, I wouldn't say he had a lot of luck, I just say he didn't have bad luck, and that's a big advantage that his championship rivals didn't have. Yeah,
it's sometimes that's the way a championship ultimately goes, but for Max it's been a really good, the second half of the season especially. He's had 3 wins in a row up to tonight, obviously second place tonight, and I have to say, we mentioned it in qualifying, Mobarak probably should have been on pole. He just didn't quite hook the lap up. But his race pace was there as well, and he did a very, very good job defending that lead at the end, because I've got to be honest, I expected to see one of the soft tyre runners on the top step. I really did.
Yeah, but in the end, great defending from Mobarak, great defending from Max, who has crowned himself PSGL F3 champion here tonight. But we have still got one more round left next week at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, and I hope you guys are joining us there once again as well for a final time this season in season 32 of PSGL PlayStation. I hope you enjoy that race here tonight. I certainly did, especially towards the end. That was very hectic, and I think we are going to have a great end to the season next week once again. Jake, anything else to add?
No, absolutely. I'm fully in agreement of that. And next week as well, obviously the title fight's done with, so could have keeping a little eye on how the Constructors fight's going to play out, because I believe it'll be a 3-way fight for the Constructors title in Austin, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
We'll have to wait and see, but you'll have to find out next week, once again, 8 p.m. UK time on Monday, when we are going live back again. Make sure to check out the other streams that were live as well. Make sure to check out the PSGL social media channels as well. And with that being said, goodbye everyone, and take care. Congratulations to Max on the championship. We'll see you next week.